my girls at? Independent, free spirit. Ooh, it's something serious. Where my girls at? We linked up in a cool minute. Where my girls at? It's going down, down. Where my girls at? It's going down, down. It's going down tonight. We going out tonight. Yeah, right. We going out tonight. It's going down tonight. Yeah, right. It's going down tonight. We going out tonight. Yeah, right. We going out tonight. It's going down tonight. Yeah, right.
Well, hello. It is Tuesday, July 5th, and we welcome you to We Got Issues. We are so grateful. Hit it again, Michael. Hit it again. It is Katrina Harris Earl coming to you from 9:10 a.m. the Superstation WFDF, and we are excited that you have joined us for another great episode of We Got Issues. I'm telling you, when we came up with the name of this show, or one of our girlfriends helped us come up with the name of our show. I'm telling you, it cannot be. I felt it, and now I know it was not just a good thing. It was a God thing. Because when I tell you it's a different day, a different show, and we still got issues. The issues are bigger and bigger and bigger every single time. I hope that you all had a happy and safe celebration of the 4th of July. We know that it was not happy and not safe for many in our country. And once again, we do, when these girls say thoughts and prayers, we mean it for real and backed by yet more need for more change. And so sorry that we can't just talk about the joy of seeing my grandchildren looking at the fireworks and the excitement of Sabrina. We want to hear about Rio getting to go on the family trip. I mean, we have so much joy and great things that we want to be talking about. And again, it is clouded by another reason for us to cry for kids that were lost. So we are going to talk about that because it is real. Today's topic is keeping kids busy and safe. And honestly, I didn't know how to talk about keeping kids busy over the holidays without talking about keeping them safe over the holidays. Because yes, while I was at the fireworks yesterday, this is what I said to my grandchildren. They were in a parade, and we were going through. They got to hang their heads out of the car, and I had to look at all three of those boys. I mean, my tears well up in my eyes that I had to say this. I said, if Gigi says, come down, I don't want you to look to the left or look to the right. I am not playing. If I tug your legs and tell you to come down, I mean, come down. And if I say hit the floor, hit the floor. And that's crazy that I would have to say that. But I'm at a parade, and if something goes down and I hear something that don't sound like fireworks, I got to yank them kids down and have them hit the floor. And I had to have a conversation with my grandboys about that on 4th of July. And that's just crazy. So before we go into that, let's just talk about the joy, the excitement, the blessing of being able to have some family time. So I'm going to you, Sabrina, because I know it was a getaway. Okay. So we're going to talk about the issues, but one of the issues we have is we need to take some me time. We all need some detox time. How was it? What'd you do? And how'd you enjoy yourself?
Hey, girlfriends. Welcome to We Got Issues. It seems like it's been forever since I saw you guys. I mean, really, we had Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday off. And so I think we had Thursday off too. So we've been gone a long time. So to our tribe, welcome back. I hope you guys did something, whether it was just a staycation, just some refuel, reset time. We need it. We decided at the last minute to get away. I was just kind of thinking, well, we'll just stay around. But then I was like, no, I feel like getting away. And they know that Mama Monday is the one who always finds excursions, okay? I will find us somewhere to go. And so we went to Putin Bay. Had never heard of Putin Bay. It's an island in Ohio. Putin Bay Island. It is really known as Key West of the Midwest. When I tell you fabulous, fabulous. You have to take a ferry. You drive about 2.5 hours from the Cleveland area over to the boat, Miller Ferry, and you get on a ferry. Then it takes the car. You don't have to take a car, but we took the car over. And we didn't have a babysitter for Rio. We didn't have a kennel. Everything was booked on 4th of July weekend. So Kenny looks at me and is like, well, I guess we have to take him. I was like, I guess you're going to have to find somewhere that will take a dog at this last minute. And so we scrambled, found housing that would take a pet. And when I tell you, he was more excited than anybody. He got in his chair. Baby was like, let's roll, let's roll. And so we had a fabulous time, you guys. I mean, Putin Bay Island. It was really a phenomenal island getaway, great food, great company, incredible fireworks. It's a boating community, of course, on an island. And so we met friends with boats. And so we got to watch the fireworks from the boat. And it was really good, just what we needed. So it looks like all the girlfriends were out doing their thing. Gloria on the vineyard, Katrina in the parade with her grands. Chrisette was riding her bicycle 25 miles with the Green Girls. And so it looks like everybody had a good time. But then honestly, I got so sad when I heard the news. I felt guilty about having a good time on the 4th weekend because these family members were stricken with such another dreadful, tragic case of death watching the 4th of July parade, you guys. So like somebody said, prayers for sure. But what else? I mean, come on, there's got to be more than heartfelt prayers. So Katrina, back to you. Back to you.
Well, we want to hear, Chris, what was the highlight? Sabrina kind of told us what was the highlight of your weekend, and then Gloria's on the radio. We're going to go to her too.
Well, you know what? It was a wonderful, relaxing 4th of July weekend. The weather was absolutely beautiful. It was hot, but the sun was out. And it just kind of reminds you of the 4th of July weekends that we had when we were children growing up. The sun was out. You heard, the fireworks that were going on. And so my sister, we started a bike riding club. I should say I initiated the bike riding club at our church because some of the guys would ride all the time. I said, you guys should start a bike club at the church. So they did. And so I would go with them. And then I got really busy. So they always dogged me out because they're like, how you start a club and then you leave the club. So So I decided, and my sister is a total active member. When I say they live to ride and they ride to live, okay, they absolutely love it. So I knew I had to get a new bike. So was able to get a new bike. And I'm telling you, so I went with my sister a couple of days before the Grace Riders went out. And we did 22 miles. It was kind of a slow ride. And then when we went on Sunday. No, I think we went on Saturday. That was a very good ride. It wasn't too fast. It was a good pace. And then I went out again with my sister on yesterday on the early morning of the 4th, and we did almost a little over 21 miles, and it was wonderful. So
you just saying it like it's nothing. You just saying it like, oh yeah, I rode 22 miles. I mean, are you kidding me? Were you? This is like, okay, bike riding for dummies. Were you riding just through town, or are you riding on a trail?
No, it's a trail. It was a trail. Okay. Beautiful foliage. The wind, it was shaded, so it was really nice. We got a cool breeze every now and again. And let me tell you something. I have a competitive part to me, and so I knew they were all trying to see if I could keep up because I haven't been with them for so long. But they didn't know. We did a 30-day challenge, get up and move. Okay. And so girlfriend was ready for them. So they all had to kind of bow down and say, all right, hey, Sabrina, all right, first, go on with your bad stuff. Okay. So it was a lot of fun. And matter of fact, I'm going on one on Thursday. And this is a fast-paced ride. They ride 18 miles an hour. 18 miles an hour. Yeah, for 22 miles. So that's going to be interesting to see if I can keep up with them. So I'm excited to get out and get about. Yeah.
I'm excited. You need to get one of the cameras that you put on your helmet so we can see. Okay, we want to see it. So Gloria, I know you're on the radio. We want to hear from you. Are you still at the vineyard? How you doing?
I'm at the vineyard looking for famous people, y'all. I'm at the vineyard looking for some famous people out here. I'm excited to be here. It's such a groove here in the vineyard. It really is. I haven't been here for a couple of years, of course, but it's like such a groove. My girlfriend has a home here. I'm so grateful to her. But I mean, when I tell you, we've been here for 5 days, and every day we took the beach. We haven't hit today yet, but I'm about we will. Even if it's dark, I mean, there's been a beach, there's been a kiddie's beach, then there's a smooth beach, then there's a raised beach, and then there's the in-between beach, and then there's the grocery store beach, and then there's the beach. I mean, there's beaches everywhere. But the kids are having a great time. I'm loving the cousins, 16 to 4 years old, push each other around. It's crazy. But it's fun. It's been a lot of fun. Wow. I know. Making up now, got fun. You need to try to hook up with Rodney. You know, he's in Marcus Thinker too. No, I didn't know he was here. Yeah, he's been here. Ooh, yeah, he's there. Y'all might be right door down the street. Yeah, I'm a celebrity sighting. I'm a I've only been there once, but
I remember the fun. I think that was some of the most fun I had, just sitting with girlfriends, guy friends, going from house to house, and eating other people's food. Bring your own meat. I mean, it was such an easy place to get to know people, and the beach was fun. And that was way back then. Yes.
Riding bikes, people are so cool. Everybody's in a good groove. It's really beautiful too. And the weather's been super perfect, super bright, super sunny. That's a weather girlfriend trip. We gotta go. Yeah. Well, absolutely.
We talked about it early on, and now we got to talk about it here. This came from BusinessInsider.com, where I pulled this father's what he did. The father, and you probably saw it if you checked out the news, the father describes hiding his son in a dumpster at Highland Park to protect him from the mass shooting that killed 6. Can you even imagine this? The father who fled the mass shooting at Highland Park, Illinois, described using a garbage dumpster, because today we're talking about keeping kids safe. You talk about thinking fast on his feet. He used the garbage dumpster as shelter for his family during the mass shooting. Some of his family had gotten separated, is my understanding. Somebody may correct me. And he put one of his children in the dumpster while he went to go for his the rest of his family, and they were safe, sheltered in place somewhere else at a McDonald's, I believe. I mean, y'all, Sabrina talked about what her thoughts were and feeling guilty, and I immediately, of course, had to go to Anthony and say, tell me about Highland Park. He's like, oh yeah, you've been there, but I didn't know, because let's just keep it real. When you hear about a shooting in Chicago, the media has made you think a certain thing. Okay, so right. You think it's, thugs, you think it's this, you think it's that. He's like, no, this is very affluent community. This is very high end. And someone said that it was the 22-year-old that did it was one of the Boy Scouts, had been in her scout troop and lived around the corner from him, and that it was planned. Talk about it, Sabrina.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I haven't heard much news today. I'm really anxious to get to it tonight as we learn more about him and his background. I think it was his uncle who lived with him who said he had no signs of anything. He saw him that morning, saw him a little bit before it happened, total normalcy. The median income in Highland Park, $149,000 a year. Yeah.
Wow.
And
so interesting.
Yeah. So you guys, I mean, I just, I don't understand how they still are not understanding that guns are an issue. Guns are an issue. We cannot negate that fact. And so if we don't face the facts, we're going to continue to get what we're getting. Yes, Chris, what were you going to say?
I was going to add, I heard a little bit of the news today, and they were talking about how many weapons this young man had. Now, he did have them legally, I believe, but I'm just saying, if you're purchasing a weapon, is there, and I don't know, is there a limit to the number of weapons that you can purchase? I mean, shouldn't there be some kind of red flag that comes up if you go to this store and you purchase 3 guns, then a little bit later you go to another store and you purchase some more guns, and you are a certain age? Because we know I believe it's illegal to purchase guns for other people. So why would a person this young, and Sabrina, I'm not sure what his age is, I think he's in his 20s, why
22.
22. Why would a 22-year-old need, 5 or 6 guns? I mean, to me, some kind of red flag should have gone up. And I just think it is absolutely ridiculous, ludicrous that we
Chris,
can.
I know we have to go.
Okay, some
I don't hear
basic.
the music yet, but I know we have to go to. I mean, it's the truth. I know we have to go to a break, and we'll be right back, because this is keeping our kids safe is real. And let's just talk about Jayland Walker suffered at least 60 wounds by a fatal police shooting. But yet again, this man gets apprehended without incident. We got issues. We are going to talk about it. We'll be right back. Okay, we are back. We are back. Thank you for tuning in to We Got Issues. Yes, Michael, a round of applause, honestly, for the girlfriends. It takes a lot to get us together, but when we get together, we talk about the issues. And so, Chris, you were just leaning in, and I wanted you to finish your comment because it definitely ties into keeping kids safe.
Yeah, so I was just saying.
Now we got you muted there.
I'm sorry. I was just saying that, I don't know why it is so challenging, why it is so difficult to get some common sense gun legislation done. We're not saying that take away the rights of individuals to own guns. All we're saying is just put in some legislation that would allow background checks, would allow some red flags to go up. I don't know any 22-year-old that needs to own 5 guns? I mean, what is the purpose for that? So I don't know. And then, it kind of rubbed me the wrong way. When I was watching, and I believe it was the mayor of Highland Park, and I can be corrected, but she was an official, and she was just saying how close it had reached home, because her children, she's from Highland Park, and her children were there. And I said, she probably didn't mean for it to come off the way that it did. But as I listened, I said, so now that the roosters have come home to roost in your backyard, and your children could have been fatally shot, it's a big deal. I said, I don't care that my children were in any of those incidents. If it happened in any place in America, we should all say that something needs to happen, not because my child almost got, was there, and it could have been my child that was shot. No. And she probably didn't mean it that way, but I said, she probably should have worded it a little different, because it came off as it's really a big problem because it happened in my backyard. That to me, if it happens in anybody's backyard, it is happening too much. It's happening to all of us.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, I just don't even know. Go ahead, Gloria.
And we keep saying that, and we're so sensitive about that, Chris, is because we're believing, I know I'm believing, that I guess somebody really high up is going to have to be truly affected by this, because it seems like nothing else is ever enough. It's like, it's never enough that 19 people died with one person. It's never enough that, this guy's 22 years old and has 55,000 guns. It's never enough. It's like, and that woman's comment makes me lean in and say, again to myself, unless it's somebody really important, they don't care about everybody else getting hurt. Mm-hmm. I just don't understand how they can't do something about it without that.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And that's why I'm so tongue-tied, because then again, to juxtapose that against, and it's terrible that I had to go Google his name. I mean, I felt bad that I couldn't call Jayland Walker's name because it's so common and there's so much tragic news. But why is this? It's the exact same story on a different day. Black man, 25 years old, gunned down, unarmed, 8 officers, 60 shots, or at least. It could be more. And then you have this happen. It's the exact same thing. And so it's everything that we all have said. We can't just keep talking about it, but it's just terrible. Speaking of keeping the kids safe, we talked about this story, but and I wanted to preface this by saying, I'm not advocating take things into your own hands. We know that, the police have a job, the FBI has a job, we know there's a job, but at the same time, I don't think there's a mama out there who would not have done what Angeli Gomez did, because when you talk about keeping kids safe, I'm sure you're familiar with the Uvalde mother who ran into the school, describes being handcuffed, saving the kids, and she said she's going in there. This is how the story went down. She told CBS News that she rushed to the school driving 100 miles per hour when she heard the news about an active shooter. Gomez, who had been at the campus for her kids' ceremony, parked her car outside the school, sprung into action, but was immediately approached by the U.S. Marshals. They said, you are being very uncooperative. She said, well, you're going to have to arrest me because I'm going in there. And I'm telling you right now, I don't see none of y'all in there. Y'all are standing with snipers and y'all are far away. If y'all don't go in there, then I am going in. He immediately put her in handcuffs. Later on, she got out of handcuffs. Can you imagine all this going down? She jumped the fence, went inside the building, and went in her son's classroom. The teacher asked if there was enough time for all of them to get out. And because of Gomez, that entire class got out. Then she went into her other son's classroom. and an officer told her you can't go in. She used an expletive, okay, and said, I'm going in. And she went in and grabbed her other son. Is that crazy? Is that what you have to do to keep your kids safe? Is drive 100 miles an hour? A mama jumped over the fence and went in and saved an entire classroom and both her kids while the police are still outside. I mean,
and it's amazing that you haven't heard that on mainstream television. I mean, I heard it, but I didn't really vet it, so I didn't know if it was really true. But you said that they said it was on CBS. Now, I watch CNN, local television. You have not heard anything about that woman. She should have been on CNN, on all the major networks, because that is a very unusual, that is bravery, that's courage, that's a whole lot of words that we can use to describe her, but it's crickets. A lot of people don't even know about that story, Katrina.
They don't. And it says at the end of the story that she was on probation, probably something in her past, something going on, and they threatened her that because of the way she approached the U.S. Marshals, they could have arrested her. But thank God someone has shortened her probation. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Definitely somebody toned her down, because I heard a little bit of the story too. But that would have been a story that so many people would have blown up, because it showed the inadequacy of the police department.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
But again, it just looks like, because probably a brown woman, not $143,000 average, per capita, however you said it, Sabrina. So that's just.
And check this out. This out. My girlfriend just sent this. She said, okay, 25 years old. This is the young man in Akron, Ohio. What's his name again, Katrina?
Oh gosh, Jayland Walker. Jayland Walker.
Yes, Jayland, 25 years old, allegedly committed a traffic violation, attempted to flee from traffic stop, shot 60 plus times and executed by police. Now, yesterday, is 22 years old in the Chicago area, allegedly murdered 6 and shot 30 plus others, attempted to flee from traffic stop, taken into custody without incident.
Sabrina, and the list go on and on. Mother Emanuel Church, the white young man that went in and killed all of those innocent Black people that were at Bible class. Not only did they arrest him safely, they took him to McDonald's and got him breakfast. I mean, the list goes on and on. All of these mass killings that are done with people that are not Black or brown or Caucasian, some kind of way, mysteriously, they get arrested. The one guy that killed all of those people at the grocery store, they went in, talked him down, talked him out of committing suicide or whatever. He's arrested. I mean, it just really makes you angry. It really makes you angry when you see all of these Black men and young men that get killed for silly traffic stops or selling cigarettes. And exactly. I mean,
yeah. And the first thing that they say is, well, he shouldn't have been fleeing. He shouldn't have been running. Well, others run.
I thought it was illegal to shoot somebody in the back. The last time I read, it was illegal to shoot somebody that's running away.
Not a threat, without waving a gun. But there's something that it's inbred at such a deep level that that you see somebody, if he does any kind of movement, he was reaching for a gun. I mean, any kind of movement, it's just, it's challenging. And so just reflecting on that with right now, my grandboys being here at the age of 7, 8, and 9. And, it's just very interesting sitting there yesterday at the pool and you see the different white kids and Black kids, and you just think differently. I think differently. I'm looking at them differently. I am coaching them differently. but being very intentional with my words to make sure that I've had to speak to one of the youngest grandson about how to walk with his head held high, not your head down low. How to, one of them, something happened to his belt. I'm like, we're getting a belt because your pants don't need to be sagging. And I mean, those are important conversations, but it's a different conversation that I'm having because it directly relates to them coming home safely at the end of the day. So I can't wait to see them when they come walk in that door in about 15 minutes from camp. Okay. So we will be right back. Thanks for leaning into this conversation. Feel free to call in. We'd love to hear from you. I know you got a lot to say about these issues. 313-778-7600. We'll be right back. All right, we are back. We are back. Thanks for listening into We Got Issues. And today's topic was to be keeping kids busy and keeping them safe. And I'm just telling you, this topic, the keeping the kids safe, it has all of us so hot mad. I think we might be on this topic. And the good thing is I'm hosting another day this week. And if we don't get to all of the fun things, because I do have some great fun ideas for what you could do for the kids. But this is just such an important topic. And on our break, it just popped up again about the January 6th committee. And it just, all these things can happen when you're raising your kids and someone else is raising their kids. You can be a bully and get and grow up and become president of the United States when you're white like a Donald Trump. But we're just trying to get our kids to make sure that they grow up, just grow up. And you want them to believe that you could be anything. But it's so unfortunate that regardless, it's really important. It's really important, and it's very sad, the conversations that we have to have. So I wanted to go to the girlfriends who have children, and especially having boys, raising them as boys, as young men. What did you do, or how did you notice that it changed even over the years in terms of just keeping your kids safe in school, safe at home, safe, just safe? What does that mean?
Well, I'll go first, Katrina. I think when I think about my son, I think having him in sports was very important, because that gave him an activity, gave him something to do almost every day, every other day, in a safe environment with other people, other parents. And I think one of the things I think is so important, especially for our young men, is to put them in sports so that they can be at a place where where they are. They're meeting and building relationship with other children that are like-minded, because sports, and Sabrina could talk a lot about that, but sports does a lot for them as far as, having an outlet, being able to focus their energies in the right place, as opposed to, them just being out in the street. And of course, things have changed. A lot have changed from even when we were growing up. My brothers weren't in a whole lot of organized sports. We did everything outside. I mean, literally the summer came. And again, as I said a couple of weeks ago, that's why our parents said, you better be home by the time the street lights came on. They didn't really wonder where we were. I mean, we had to be in a certain vicinity. However, they knew we were out playing games and kickball and all of that. Well, of course, a lot has changed. And so for me, it has been, putting my son in activities where the propensity for, violence or the wrong crowd to be there was very minimal.
Mm-hmm. Two of my grandboys live in Arizona, and I had a conversation, and their mother was talking about how there are times that she had to stop them from just walking to the mailbox alone. And, I caught myself the other day. We're blessed to live in great neighborhoods. And as I was down there at the park, I felt like I had to take up space. And so say, I didn't drive to this neighborhood. I live here. And why can't I just leave having my kids like play out there alone? I would be concerned, even as they get older, as they're 13 or 14. And I'm just sitting here saying, why do I have to feel that way in my own neighborhood? That they can't just go, it's literally just right down the street. But instead, they're playing basketball right in front of my house, so I can see them with eyes on. And of course, I'm doing that because of their age, but I might still feel that way even when they were 14 or 15 years old, because it's, if my neighbors that know me, they know, oh, we know them, they're cool, but Sabrina, have you felt that a little bit in some of the neighborhoods you've lived in? I mean, you guys are the Mondays. And so has that been helpful for your boys to know that they're the Mondays where other kids don't necessarily get looked at the same way? Does that make sense at all?
Yeah, it does make sense. It's so interesting because Kennedy went with us away this weekend, and he brought that up. He said, I don't know how it feels how I would feel if I wasn't a Monday. Isn't that something? Because he knows that there's a special privilege, protection. If people in the neighborhood know his dad, you know what I'm saying? There's a name. So we've been able to do some things because of his last name, that in normal situations, you don't get the treatment, you don't get the respect. And it's sad. It is very sad. A lot of prayer when these boys were growing up, definitely praying for them, because it many times they were the only African Americans in a situation, because of our neighborhood, because of the sport that they played, because of the schools that they attended. And so it was always the hard conversations, making sure that you know who you are, know that you have confidence, know that if anything goes down, this is a safe place. Come home and let us know. Because if you don't tell us, then we don't know. And so I just think open communication, I think I'm so grateful that I was a stay mom, that I was self-employed. So I was up to the school all the time. I was up in those stands all the time. I was at the PTA meeting all the time. When there was a gathering, I wanted everybody to come to our house to get to know them. And so I just think it takes a village. I mean, the village is not what it used to be, but doggone it, get to know these neighbors, get to know where these kids are hanging out, get to know what the conversations are. Because if I wasn't sitting around some of those picnic tables, I would not be abreast of what some of these kids are talking about and how they're talking about it. So I just think it's important to be involved, an involved parent as much as possible. But now it's different. It's even more so different than when my kids were little. But you know what? With my kids being 22 and 24, these boys, I'm still very concerned for their safety. I'm still very concerned. Gloria, is that you saying something?
Important for the mothers to know that they can lean into each other. You know, we often talk about the kids, but as we talk about the kids, the support group of the mothers, because it does take a village. And sometimes you can't allow people to get so distant and so narrow-minded about just their son, because their son taken care of, he'll leave a big hole for everybody else to participate in. So the more parent force that's there and mothers talk about the challenges, the more support that they will have. And that was really big for me, because we traveled a lot and I needed the neighbors and the neighbors needed me. And we liked that kind of conversation. So that was a big part. But it's sad that it's a big deal and it keeps getting bigger. That's so
And
good.
thinking about safety, just going to a whole other topic, is about being safe online. Again, here come the kids, and they used to have iPads. When the boys would come with me, they always had iPads, and now they still have iPads, but they want their phone. And one of the things I noticed about the phone is even smaller. It's you can't look over the eye as easy to see what's there. And so one of the things I really like is there's a phone timeout, keeping the phones in a common space. They're not sleeping with them where they have them all night. There are particular things that's just really important. Parents, if you are not up on it, you have got to get up on it. There are safety filters. Like one of them, there's several out there. You can Google them and then look on the reviews and see what other parents are saying, but it's called Bark, B-A-R-K, and it is a filter for kids. So it's a trip. They were saying something to Alexa the other day, and my mom said, you got to go downstairs and listen to what she's playing, because and they weren't even trying, but it came up. You got to listen to the words of the song. You got to listen to just every single thing that is popping up, even with the filters. So discuss internet safety with your kids, supervise them. You have to pull their devices regularly and scan them and look for them, review the games, even the ones that say the games, the TV shows that say they are child friendly. Based on the values and standards in our household, some of those don't cut the mustard. And so then having total conversations. I've had to have several conversations, almost a daily conversation between, okay, why would you want to play that game? What is the goal? We talked about that. And so it's just been, and then when we come back from the break, we'll talk about the sexual exploitation that can take place because of them being tapped into online. So you can't get them off online. It is permanent. Okay, they are not going back. But I'm telling you, that's a whole other level of keeping kids safe. We will be right back. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'd love to hear from you. 313-778-7600. But we're grateful for those of you in the chat talking about, I'm mad, I'm praying for my kids every day. We must keep our kids and each other's kids safe. We'll be right back. Okay, we are back. We are back. We are back, and we're talking about keeping kids safe. And I was going to go to some stats on sexual violence. And just during the break, here it pops in. I mean, this is live news. I bet many of you saw it. Suspect charged with first degree murder of, believe 7. But just listening to them describe him, Chris, it's going right back to what you said. Someone said he was a skater kid. What's that mean? A skater kid. So because you skate versus playing basketball, a skater kid. I mean, it's just the tone, it's the tone. But yet there was one person who said as soon as they heard that he was the suspect, he was not surprised. In 2017, they took a whole bunch of knives from his house. I mean, you just can't have a black kid. They pick a whole bunch of knives up, and then the next week you can go out and buy a whole bunch of guns. That's just So anyways, we got issues. We got issues that literally just came down. And as I was looking at this, and it said that one of the victims, 64, 35, 37, 63, 88, 78. I wonder how many of those adults were literally laying over their kids to protect them. Because who goes to fireworks without kids?
Right.
An 88-year-old does not go by themselves. They go with their grandkids, great-grandkids, great-great-great-grandkids. I mean, it's just crazy. It's absolutely crazy. So we got issues, y'all. We have a lot of issues. We have to talk about it. And I wanted to talk about safety again. I mean, these statistics, it's just so sad. About 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 13 boys experience child sexual abuse at some point in childhood. 1 in 10 children will be sexually abused before the age of 18. A rate of sexual victimization 2.3 times higher than adults experience. And when you look at these stats, the worst part, I mean, there's no, all of it is bad. But when it says an estimated 12% of child sexual abuse cases are reported to authorities each year. Studies suggest that as many as 33% of victims never tell anyone they were abused. One study found that 60 to 80% of victims of childhood sexual abuse wait until adulthood to disclose the abuse. In fact, the average age of disclosure is 52 years old. That they carry it that long in their life, and it's impacted every area. And so keeping them safe. Go ahead, Chris.
I was just going to say, I know that is so true because I know that is so true because we've had several cases at the University of Michigan where coaches, years later, these athletes are coming out and they're talking about how these coaches molested them. And we're talking about men that are in their 50s, 60s that are, telling their stories. And I'm sure many of them, were paid, some kind of sum of money. Some of the abusers are, since have gone on, passed on. So it's not like you can do anything to them. But a lot of that molestation can happen when, children are playing sports. And sometimes, it happens. Fortunately, Larry Nassar, who was, molesting all of those gymnastic young ladies, he will spend the rest of his life in prison. And fortunately, somebody finally listened to some of those girls, but many of them said that they had, said something and it fell on deaf ears. So sometimes it's also, with coaches in playing sports.
Mm-hmm. So to keep them safe, it seems like, number one, you must ask questions. You must be all up in it. I don't care who the person is, how prominent they are. If they are Kelly, I don't care who it is. You have got to ask questions, be aware. And we just have to create this culture where it is not, you can't live in shame. So many times we know that it occurs even in families, and that becomes a family secret. And that does not serve anyone, because I'm sure if we look at the statistics, when it's a family secret, that person goes on and there's more than one victim. In the
and you know family. What, Katrina, I know I've read that you are more likely to be molested by someone you know than by somebody you don't know, whether it is a family member or a family friend. And I'm going to tell you, when my children were growing up, I can count on one hand the number of households that I would let them spend the night. And, one of their caregivers who they love, when I say sometimes they wanted to go with their house so much, I was like, no, you can't go. They need a break from y'all. That's how much they enjoy going to their caregiver's house. And she had, 3 children, 2 boys and a daughter. And I watched the show, and I'll forget, it was when Oprah was on, and they were talking about children being molested, and they were giving the statistics about children. Many times it is by caregivers, it's by somebody in the house. And when they're so young, that person can say something to them, threaten them. If you say something, then this is what I'm going to do. And so they're so afraid to tell their parent that they carry that for so many years. And many times it comes out in their schoolwork. It comes out in them bullying or acting out because they don't have a way to release that. And I'll never forget, after seeing that show, I remember talking to Kiera, and I started asking her questions about when she's staying at the house, does anybody touch her in her private areas? And we were talking, and she looked at me so crazy, like, what are you talking about? And that's the response I wanted. I wanted her to look at me like I was crazy, and that made me feel good. But I did not want to be one of those parents that assume just because I trusted the mother, parents don't see everything. You know what I'm saying? So I just wanted to make sure that I asked those questions because I didn't want to have the regrets of later finding out, well, Mom, you sent us there all the time and you didn't know that this was going on. So I just think it is a conversation that you have to have, because it's better to have the conversation than years later find out that something did happen.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I mean, you don't want to raise kids that just are, I don't know what the right term would be, the tattletale, but I mean, one of the things I appreciate is 3 of them being together. If one slips, the other one will say, he did it. I mean, they are very, turn that song off. That has the wrong word in it. I mean, they will police each other.
That's good. Each other.
And so just looking for ways to have these conversations where you're not traumatizing them or introducing them into something, but they know more than you. I mean, these kids are so awake and alert, and they know so much. They know what's bad. They know what's good. They know what's appropriate for them to be looking at and what's not appropriate. It's unfortunate how much they know at this point. The innocence is pulled back so much. So you better have the conversation, because it's out there. The TV's having the conversation with them. There's just so much conversation about sexuality with kids. The fact that they even understand are having conversations about, are you heterosexual or are you straight or gay? I mean, who has that conversation at 10 and 11? Because that's a sexual conversation. So none of it is appropriate to have. Yes. So it's like, we got issues, but we got to keep our kids safe. So parents, aunties, uncles, mothers, fathers, we want to thank you for tuning in today. Whatever it takes to keep your kids safe. We are grateful for the mamas like the Uvalde mom, and for the father who had the forethought. But more than ever, we must do what it takes to keep our kids safe collectively, by voting and making sure that we do those things. And then we have to take care of home. Keep your children safe. Tune in on every day this week, but on Friday, I will fulfill my promise and share some more of the good stuff that you could do, some free things, some not so free things that you could do to keep your kids, keep them busy. Okay. Keep them busy and keep them having the fun of summer. Summer is supposed to be fun, and that is it's up to us to make it that way for them. All right. We will see you tomorrow, Wednesday. Have an amazing Tuesday. And thanks for tuning in. Go to theforceoffriendship.com and check us out there. Bye-bye.